All right, so we have some breaking news in the New York City mayoral race tonight. Just moments ago, Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani gained an important endorsement from New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Hochul announced her endorsement in a newly published New York Times op-ed, writing, quote, "Zohran and I don't see eye to eye on everything, and I don't expect us to. I will always reserve the right to disagree honestly and to argue passionately. But I also believe that New York State and New York City are at their best when we stand together against those who attempt to tear us apart. For all these reasons, I am endorsing Zohran Mamdani in the upcoming election for mayor, and I look forward to working with him to ensure that New York City's best days lie ahead." Mamdani thanked Hochul on X just a few minutes ago, writing, "Thank you, Kathy Hochul. I'm grateful for the governor's support in unifying our party, her resolve in standing up to Trump, and her focus on making New York affordable. I look forward to the great work we will accomplish together. Our movement is only growing stronger." Peter Beinart and Emma Vigeland are still with us. Peter, your reaction to this. What do you make of the endorsement? Does it matter? Is it important? Does it put more pressure on the high-profile Democrats in New York who still have not come out to endorse him, like Chuck Schumer and, of course, Hakeem Jeffries?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I don't know why she needed to wait this long, especially because this op-ed is basically pablum, right? I mean, there's nothing in the op-ed which actually explains why she couldn't have just done this right after he won the Democratic primary, right? But I think the fact that she's done so suggests that she understands that Zohran Mamdani is very popular, that he's almost certainly going to be the next mayor, and that the issues that he's running on about the city and also his views on foreign policy in Israel-Palestine are very popular. And so it's not a smart move for a Democratic politician to be in opposition to what most of the Democrats in New York want. And hopefully other Democratic leaders will get that message.
It's crazy that you even have to say
I know,
that, right?
I know.
It's crazy. It just shows you where the Democratic Party is, that you have to say, like, it's incredible that they're standing on policies that are popular with their own people.
And all of this is having an impact outside of New York as well. We just saw Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen endorse Mamdani as well. I want to play some sound of his remarks from a rally just the other day.
Many Democratic members of the Senate and House representing New York have stayed on the sidelines. That kind of spineless politics is what people are sick of. They need to get behind him and get behind him now.
Emma, I want your take on what we just heard Van Hollen say there, but also Jeffries was asked to respond to all of this, his team.
He's still having more meetings.
A spokesman for leader Hakeem Jeffries said that he will have more to say about the general election well in advance of November 4th. Meanwhile, confused New Yorkers are asking themselves the question, Chris Van who?
I don't think New Yorkers are asking that question. I think they're asking the question of Hakeem Jeffries. Why have you not endorsed the candidate who brought out historic turnout in this primary race, who won Jeffries' own district by 12 points, who is on the right side of the issue of an ongoing genocide in the Gaza Strip and Israel trying to create a one-state reality in the West Bank as well? And that issue polls in his favor by around 18 points. New York Times Siena had a poll last week that showed that New Yorkers are more sympathetic to the Palestinian people by a 18-point margin. So on every issue, he is on the right side here. But Jeffries is choosing to listen more to a donor base as opposed to the American public and even his own constituents. And to go after Chris Van Hollen like that, I thought that was absolutely outrageous, because Van Hollen has been one of the only leaders in the Democratic Party who has broken through and gotten actual results for his constituents. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he went down there. He went down to El Salvador and was able to get a meeting with him, put pressure on the Supreme Court to rule in a manner that was expedient, and ended up getting Abrego Garcia back to the United States. Van Hollen has also opposed the genocide of the Palestinian people in his own way and used the bully pulpit as a leader by going on shows and demanding answers in ways that other Democrats have not. So I can't think of another Democrat has met the moment in the Senate besides Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Chris Van Hollen more. And to have Jeffries say that, to kick down at a member of one of his own caucus just because he's calling out the fact that he's not embracing the populist energy in his own city, I mean, I think that says everything about the status of Jeffries as a leader and how out of step he is with his caucus and the American people.
Were you surprised by how catty the whole thing seemed?
I mean, it's really pathetic, right? I mean, and the point is that Hakeem Jeffries can't actually have a debate on the merits, right? I mean, imagine if someone says to Hakeem Jeffries, listen, Israel's killed tens of thousands of kids in Gaza. It's now been called a genocide by the world's leading human rights organizations, Israel's human rights organizations. Explain to us why this is a good use of U.S. money. Don't you think there's something better we could do, maybe in Brooklyn, with that money? I mean, it's an impossible argument to make, right? And so that's why you see these just kind of this silly name calling. I think Chris Van Hollen doesn't come from the far left of the Democratic Party, but I think he's one of these people who understands where the movement in the party is. He understands that Mamdani represents something real, and he's moving in that direction. That's the way democracy is actually supposed to work.
Well, I want to go back to the Kathy Hochul of it all again, just to pile on a little bit more. In poll after poll, you see where Democrats are frustrated that they aren't being led by fighters, and their more youth are rejecting the label of Democrat. And then you have Kathy Hochul months after the fact deciding to suddenly, use her magical fairy dust to give Zoran the mayoral race when it's just totally irrelevant and beside the point. But who did she even come after? She came after Donald Trump saying in the New York Times that Mamdani was going to win and that it looked pretty much like a done deal, and making clear that he wasn't really open to interference in the mayoral race. So, again, it's so reactive to the political power, establishment Democrats responding to Trump almost on some level versus what their constituents and what their activist class who have energy want.
Well, I think that's why Zoran isn't just, a politician who represents, I think, the future of the party in terms of ideas, but he's also a very smart political actor in tying Andrew Cuomo and the opposition to him as the Democratic nominee to Trump. You are basically putting yourself against Trump, and everybody that isn't with you is with Trump. And that's actually the reality, because you can have these national Democrats say he's not really a Democrat. Well, you know who thinks he's a Democrat? The voters in New York City. And they voted for him overwhelmingly.
And turned out in record number in a way they didn't in other elections.
And Kathy Hochul, I mean, look, she's not my favorite politician, but I do like, as you were saying, Peter, when somebody can see where the wind is blowing. And she has a primary challenge.
She's shrewd,
Delgado is, I think, nipping on her heels a little bit. So she knows that she has to come out and kind of play nice with him at the very least. And he's going to need her cooperation to raise the corporate tax rate to fund the free bus thing, the free bus program that he's proposed. And so it's actually quite timely for him, because if he wins in the fall, then he will have that pressure on her in the 6 or 7 months leading up to her primary challenge to get her to agree to the budget that he needs.